Today we're going to be talking about this cover crop. Now this cover crop has not grown for a long time, but it has been dormant, not in a dead state, but just in a vegetative state. It's just been sitting here, low light levels, November, December, January, not a lot of light because the days are short because it's winter. So the hairy vetch is growing here, and it's kind of long, but it's laying down, but it's beautiful, but it's just growing here, and it's just sitting there, and it is growing a little bit. There's new growth on it, there's new little buds and shoots, but it's very pretty, it's wonderful. It's a legume, it fixes nitrogen, it has beautiful flowers in the springtime, and we chose to put it in here because I knew it would grow through the winter. It would be a good crop to grow. And the rye growing here, rye is a grass, but this is the cereal rye. There's many species of rye. This is cereal rye that produces grain, and this will get 4, 5, 6 feet tall, and it is just now starting to grow a little bit more than it was through the winter. I think I'm starting to see some new growth on it. The leaves are starting to lengthen out. So here is the grass. So that's so beautiful. The thing about the roots of this grass is one rye plant can grow 380 miles of roots, maybe even more. That's just what one crazy scientist measured on one rye plant. 380 miles of roots. Can you imagine that? And just in this one area, just right here, that I can touch right here, there's 40 or 50 plants. So that is an amazing amount of root mass going into the soil in the form of lots of things, mostly carbon, which is the most important thing to think about. A lot of times we're excited and worried about getting nitrogen in the soil because all soils are deficient in nitrogen. That's not true, but that's what agronomy teaches us in the modern world. But as we're learning new things about soil health, we know that that's not completely true. So the legume here, this beautiful vetch, is a nitrogen fixer. It takes this nitrogen out of the air that we were inhaling and exhaling all the time. There's an amazing amount of nitrogen in the air, and it will take it in through the leaves and it puts it down into the roots and into the soil. And it will fix it in there with a symbiotic relationship with the bacteria that build the nodules on the roots. Now there are other bacteria that don't need plants to fix nitrogen in the soil. Why haven't people been jumping up and down and screaming about those? The free nitrogen fixers that don't need a plant. Why don't we hear about those? If nitrogen is so all-fire important, why aren't people talking about that? How come everybody's so excited about legumes? But I did put this vetch in here for that reason. So I'm excited about it too. And the rye is in here for the purpose of the massive amount of roots that are in the soil, the bulk, the big, the bushel basketfuls of compost that I don't have to carry in here because the sunlight just creates it, and the carbon in the atmosphere, it's going down in there, it's building the soil. Now our third plant that we had in our cover crop were the daikon radishes. And I have several people who've been coming and purchasing daikons to eat. So people are eating my radishes instead of my earthworms and my microbes. So at some point I'm going to have to say, no, I don't have any more. And they'll be standing here looking at me saying, well, I can see some right there. So anyway, I hope I don't have that awkward conversation. But so what I want to do is I want to look at this soil. So I'm going to make sure that my penetrometer, this is my penetrometer, and we're going to talk about daikon radishes mostly right now from here on out. So the cereal rye puts 380 miles of roots into the soil. That's an amazing amount of carbon going in. That's the most important thing, is the carbon. More important than the nitrogen. Because if you have enough carbon, your nitrogen takes care of itself. And then we have the hairy vetch in there to help fix some nitrogen. Okay? But now we're talking all about what the daikon radishes are doing. So this is my penetrometer. I have already made a couple of videos with this, at least I think I have. But we're making another one right now. So I'm going to move this out of the way so I can see my irrigation line, because I'm going to poke this in the ground and I don't want to hit my irrigation line. So I'm not on my irrigation line. So I'm going to poke this in the ground, and as I poke it, there's a gauge on here that's turning. And this turning gauge will tell me how many pounds per inch it's taking to go in the soil. So as I'm pushing down firmly, and I'm not pushing hard on purpose because I'm having to explain all of this, but I'm at about 150 pounds right now. So I'm at 150 pounds. I'm still at 150. Oh, I hit something. Now I could have hit a pebble. I could have hit a rock. I could have hit a hard pan. We don't know. But right here, it jumped from 150 and it's up to 200. When we get to 200 pounds per inch, it's going to be hard for roots to penetrate that. It's actually hard for a lot of roots to penetrate over 150 pounds. And most of this was 150 pounds. So that is not the kind of soil we want in our garden. But you've got to remember, this is a brand new garden. We planted this just a year ago. It's been, we are the 1st of February now. So this has been, so 15 months. So this has been 15 months since we've planted. Maybe not quite, because I don't know when I planted this section. It could have been 3 weeks later, so maybe barely 14 months. So I'm at, okay, so I'm at 100. I'm pushing, but it's not going in. 150, I'm still pushing. It's hitting 200 plus, 200 plus, 250, and it's starting to go. You know, if I was on a rock, it wouldn't be going. So I know that I hit a hard pan that was 250 pounds. And the only reason I stopped was to talk and explain that right there. So I'm going to keep going. Oh, and I punched through it. So I think I went down about 1 inch. And then it punched through. And now it's going really easy. And I'm only at 150 pounds to go through. Now I've hit another hard pan. I'm back to 250. And I'm at 300. And I'm going. 400. Ah. Okay. So I'm putting my finger. So I put my finger right here. And I have marks on this penetrometer that are 3 inches. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 14, about 14 and a half. So at 14 and a half, we can say 15 inches, and we'll just round it. So at 15 inches, I have an impenetrable hard pan of 400 pounds. And it's really nice if somebody's here with a clipboard and they can write down when you hit what. So I'm going to go to another spot, just a few inches over. So, okay, I'm in 3 inches. I'm not quite at 150. I'm at 150 now. At 6 inches. I'm going. Okay, so right there, I hit 200 and I stopped at 200. 300. That was going way up above 400. So, and we could write that down. So I have anywhere from 12 to 15 inches. That's it's compacted, but it's not solid. But it is so solid down in there that it won't. It's not working very good. So let's just look at these daikons and see what they're doing. The daikons are supposed to help me break up these hard pans. So I'm just going to look at. Let me be clear though. Let me be really clear. I'm just going to go in right here. Okay, this is good. It's under 100, under 100, over 100. I'm at 150 right there. So that is 4 inches. At 4 inches deep, I am too compacted. So that is wrong and that is bad. And that's how this whole bed is. And you remember when we first started this garden, we tilled it. Okay, that's 150 right there, and it's not even 3 inches. That's 2.5 inches, and I'm way up there above 150 pounds. So this is very compacted, terrible, awful, horrible, nasty soil, but guess where this soil is? It's in my Wallapini. And so I have to create the soil that I want. Can that be done? Absolutely it can. But you've got to remember, the one reason this soil is this way is this was subsoil. We dug down with the bulldozer. I'm halfway through the greenhouse right now. So this was about 5 feet deep. So the soil used to be up here at my nose. From the feet to my nose is about 5 feet. Of course, this is a little bit lower than this bed, but anyway, somewhere in here, there was topsoil out here with grass growing and stuff, but who knows how far down it went. And so we cut this off with the bulldozer and the backhoe. We dug it all out, and so when we made our garden beds, we didn't have any soil, so we have to create a new soil. And I'm so excited to be able to do that. And these daikon radishes are helping me. So I just want to randomly pull a daikon radish, and I'm just looking for one, and I don't even know which one to pull. I'm just gonna, those two are stuck. I haven't watered for a week or two, so they're kind of hard, but they're hard to pull out. I'm just going to see if I can find one that I can pull out, and we're going to look at the root structure and see what it looks like. Okay, here's one. Okay, let's just measure it with my penetrometer here. So it's about 7 inches, and the little end broke off there, and the end that broke off looks like it's about a 1/16 of an inch across. And so that would continue to go down, but I don't know how far. So there's a daikon right there. Let's see if we can find a great big one. Let me move way up here and see. I've been picking them and selling them, so that's causing me a problem to do this video. Okay, let me test this right here. You gotta be kidding me. I'm at almost 300 pounds. And I didn't even go in 3 inches. This is insanity. And I think I can grow vegetables in here. I must be crazy. So I'm going to pull the daikon radish that is closest to this area. And I know there's no rocks at that level because we had this all tilled up and we took all the rocks out. So there's no rocks in this surface, in the top 8 inches of soil for sure. So this is crazy. 300 pounds per inch, and I was only 2.5 inches. So I'm going to pull a daikon radish that is right by where I did that. So let's measure this one. Okay, 3, 6. That is 15 inches long. So we have a 15-inch long daikon. Let's look at the width. It's over 1.5 inches wide. It's almost close to 2 inches wide right there, at the widest part. Now this is long and straight, so this has penetrated that amazing, that is crazy, 300 pounds, and I wasn't on a, I don't think I was on a rock because there's no rocks in here. So what happened? What happened is we tilled the soil, we watered it, we grew stuff on it, it has compacted, yet this cover crop looks pretty good even though it's in a compacted soil. So it's a good thing that we're growing these cover crops. But that's nice and straight, it looks pretty good. Sometimes when a daikon will hit a hard pan like that, you'll get twists and turns. Sometimes these will be going sideways because they simply can't penetrate it. And usually if you pull it out and it's going sideways, it breaks off. So there's a daikon, big old giant thing, but it's relatively straight for that kind of a compaction. Okay, I came to the very end of where these are. 300 pounds. I went in a little bit more, 300 pounds. Okay, here's a daikon right here. There's a daikon on both sides of this penetrometer. I'm going to go down. Okay, I popped through a hard pan there. Okay, about 300 pounds. The first two went in about 3 inches. This one was in 10 inches. So I'm going to pull one of these that was right by the one that only went in 3 inches. Trying to move all the grass out of the way so I can get a hold of it. Okay, so this one broke off, but this one is 10 inches long to where it broke off. But this one broke off straight right there, but it looks like it was maybe even longer. This one looks like it's a longer radish than this one, because, so they're the same length right here, because I have the crown even right there. And this diameter, it's much more narrow than that diameter. You can line those up. We can line those up and see them. You can see the diameter where it broke off. So this one was coming down, and it probably was turning sideways into that area. Now I pulled this radish between where I went in, what was it, 10 inches, and where I only went in 2 or 3 inches to hit the 300 mark. So this soil is very compacted. And the answer to compaction in the old days was till the soil. But the answer to compaction now is grow the right kind of crops to break up the compaction. Okay, so what we have learned from this today is that even though it's amazingly compacted, these radishes are going down. They're going down deep. They're going 15 inches plus. Who knows? Because that one is so much thicker right there, it probably, if we bring this to where it's even, right there, and then we measure that, we can do an estimate. That's almost 18 inches. So I'm going to estimate that this radish was 18 inches before it broke off like this one. And then it broke off at like 1/8 of an inch wide right here, this particular one. And so, who knows, maybe it went another 10 inches. But they're going down in there. And those channels that they let down in there, earthworms can go in there. Water can infiltrate down in there. Bacteria, the microarthropods, nematodes, fungus can all get down in there, and the roots of all the other plants can now get down in there, and it's going to break up these hard pans, and we're going to have a beautiful soil. Hopefully this has helped you to have the very best garden of your life.